These monks in northeast Thailand are on Bindabat, the daily dawn walk to receive their food offered by the villagers. Not all monks in Thailand keep strictly to the discipline prescribed by the Buddha, but these monks strive to maintain the original forest tradition of a pure and simple life. They're not allowed to possess money nor grow their own food. This ensures their total dependence on the lay community, so they can't cut themselves off in a spiritual cocoon. For the laity, Bindabat is a way of paying respect to the discipline of the monks, and also a way of making merit, which many believe brings good fortune in this life and in future rebirths. About 50 monks and novices live at Wat Bapong, ranging from 13 years old to 70. Some may stay for many years, but the majority will only spend a year or two, for it's the Thai custom for men to be ordained for a short period of their lives. After returning from Bindabat, the monks eat their only meal of the day, which consists mainly of rice and vegetables. The day began at 3 a.m. with chanting, meditation, general chores and duties. It's now about 8:30. Until this time tomorrow, they'll consume only liquids. After the meal, they bow to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The abbot, the Venerable Ajahn Chah, has been in robes for 50 years.
อยู่ในป่าเลยอยู่ในป่าต่างอยู่ในเมือง
Here in the forest, you can learn to be in harmony with the way things are in nature.
อยู่ในป่าเป็นปกติ
You can live happily and peacefully.
สบายสงบเห็นธรรมชาติมันเกิดขึ้นแล้ว
Here, a monk is able to contemplate the nature of things. As he looks around him, he understands that all forms of life degenerate and eventually die. Nothing that exists is permanent. And when he understands this, he begins to become calm and serene.
จิตก็สบายขึ้น
Ajahn Chah teaches that even the most mundane activity can be a form of meditation if carried out mindfully. Much of the day is spent making and maintaining their few basic possessions. Meditation can eventually become a constant practice.
วิธีทำของวัดหนองประพงนั้น
Monks are trained to be content with little, to eat only what they need, to sleep only when necessary, to be satisfied with what they have. This is the foundation for Buddhist meditation.
เป็นเครื่องอุปกรณ์ที่จะปฏิบัติเท่านั้นได้ทั้งประโยชน์ตน
Buddhist monks don't practice meditation for selfish reasons. We practice in order to know ourselves, so that then we'll be able to understand and teach others how to live peacefully and wisely.
This monk has been ordained for 15 years. He's respected not only for his skill in meditation, but also for his practical skills, his consistent mindfulness. Meditation doesn't just involve being at peace with the world. Confronting the self can be like walking into a raging storm. It's quite usual at first to despair, even to want to kill oneself.
Some people think that a monk's life is a lazy and an easy one. If that's what they think, they should just try and see how long they can stand it. A monk's work is hard. He works to free his heart so that he begins to feel loving kindness, which embraces everything. He sees that all life has the characteristic of the breath. It rises and it falls. Everything that is born expires. So his suffering diminishes as he knows that nothing belongs to him.
This novice is 14. He comes from a local village and has been in the monastery for several months. What's the hardest thing about being a novice?
Being a novice isn't difficult, but being in the world is very hard.
Why is that? Why?
Because there's a lot of problems involved in looking after buffaloes.
I was tired with the world, so I wanted to come and live here to practice the Dharma. I used to have a wife, 6 children, buffaloes. All these I had to give up. I felt that coming to live here was more useful to myself and to others. As I experienced the teaching of the Buddha, so I can pass it on to others.
Discipline is a crucial part of the experience. The 227 rules which a monk has to observe are not ends in themselves, but stepping stones towards mental resolve. Shaving the head is a symbol of the renunciation of the world. The day's activities are regulated by a bell. Twice a month it calls them to confession. They recite to each other the categories of offence. The most serious, which includes sexual intercourse, are punished by expulsion. Lesser offences incur various penances.
A monk learns to challenge his moods. Our aim is to become aware of everything that passes through our minds, knowing the greed, hatred, delusion. We watch these feelings, but we don't cling to them and follow them. We just watch them come and go.
After the confession comes the patimokkha. the ritual recitation of the 227 rules. Occasional prompting is sometimes necessary. But what does all this do for the laity? The monastery exerts a tremendous pull on the lay community, and they provide all the money for the buildings. This man used to be a village spirit priest, but now in response to Ajahn Chah's teaching, he's turned his back on spirit beliefs, and he's now revered because he walks without fear through forests others believe are spirit-haunted. In Thailand, Buddhist practice is often blended with pre-Buddhist beliefs. Many villages make offerings to guardian spirits whose powers they're fearful of. But coming to the monastery, they leave all this behind. Ajahn Chah tries to discourage all forms of superstition, which includes people asking him to divine winning lottery numbers. This man used to own a string of bars and nightclubs. He's been so impressed by Ajahn Chah that he's abandoned all these in search of a more moral livelihood. Now he comes regularly to the monastery for advice, teaching, or to see if any work needs doing. 4 times a month on Buddhist Sabbath days, the local community congregate at the monastery. Some travel from afar to hear Ajahn Chah's discourse. The day begins with chanting.
To help people contemplate the true nature of the body, we have human skeletons in the assembly hall. Because when one doesn't understand death, life is very confusing. If our body really belonged to us, then it would obey our commands. But if we say, don't get old, or I forbid you to get sick, does it obey us? No. It takes no notice. We only rent this house. We don't own it. If we think the house belongs to us, when we have to leave it to die, we suffer. In reality, there is no such thing as a self. Buddha made a distinction between ultimate truth and conventional truth. The idea of a self is merely a convention. Foreigner, Thai, you, the interviewer, these are all conventions. In ultimate reality, there isn't anybody. There is only earth, fire, water, air, elements which have combined temporarily. We call the body a person, mine, but ultimately there is no me. There is only anatta, not self.
Some of the lay community, will sit up all night meditating on these themes with the monks. For a brief period, they are inspired and uplifted, and become one with the spiritual struggle of the monks.
To understand anatta, not self, you have to meditate. If you only intellectualize about it, your head will explode. Once you understand anatta, then the burden of life is gone. Your normal daily life with your family, your work, all will be much easier. You'll be at peace with the world.
อนัตตานี้เป็นเรื่องมีผลมากนี่เป็นเรื่องสร้างตนให้เจริญได้ดีมาก
When we see beyond self, we no longer cling to happiness, and when we stop clinging, we can begin to be happy.
ทำอะไรสบายมากถ้าห่วงก็ไปนิพพานไม่ได้เลยสิต้องภาวนาไม่ให้ห่วงพระนิพพานถ้าห่วงพระนิพพานก็ไปไม่ได้ไปพระนิพพานไม่ได้
Shouldn't be concerned with nirvana or attaining nirvana. If you are, then that in itself will prevent you from gaining nirvana.
So what should a monk's main concern be?
ฉะนั้นพระควรจะมีมุ่งหมายอย่างไรครับฉะนั้นพระจะควรมีมุ่งหมายอย่างไรมีความมุ่งหมายทางการปล่อยวาง The aim is to let go.
So you have to let go, but without striving to let go.
ฉะนั้นต้องปล่อยวางแต่ว่าไม่ควรจะปรารถนาการปล่อยวาง
ใช่ปรารถนาไม่ได้ปล่อยวางไม่ปรารถนาสิ่งใดทั้งนั้นน่ะว่าง
That's right. You should let go without desire.
หมดถ้ามีอยู่ก็ไม่ใช่พระนิพพานเลยสิ
If there's still desire and the pursuit to do that, then that's not nirvana.
Letting go towards nirvana may seem impossible for the laity tied to the world, but in the shape of the monks, they can see their own unfulfilled aspirations take the form of flesh and blood. Only the few have the discipline to walk with them on the direct path, but the effect on the laity is this: when they see them, they feel it can be done.
วัดป่า
So the laity give the monks food for the body, and the monks give the laity food for the mind and heart, so that they can understand the cause of unhappiness and know why things are as they are.
ให้มีความเห็นชอบที่ไม่มีปัญหาเกิดขึ้น
Be mindful and let things take their natural course. Then your mind will become still, like a clear forest pool. All kinds of rare animals will come to drink at the pool. You will see many wonderful and strange things come and go, but you will be still. Problems will arise, but you will see through them immediately. This is the happiness of the Buddha.